Hi, I'm Bernie from Crafter's Companion. Today I've brought our border quilting pattern guide. This is the geometric wave. This is actually going to give you all those options to decorate your project. So your quilts, your table runners, your wall hangings, your bags, your cushions, your placemats, little coasters, anything where you want to put some quilting on there to secure those 3 layers together. And what that's going to do is, for decorative purposes, and also when you put them through the wash, they're not going to come apart because wadding can clump up whichever one you use. So I'm going to show you a brilliant example. We've got this quilt here. I'm going to hold it up first. This is amazing. Look at this quilt. And you can see how we've actually done the stitching on there in a different colour, making those double lines to make the pattern. You can actually do it a single line as well, but I'm going to show you how you actually do that. So what you need to do first is set up your machine. So with your machine, you're going to have your extension table on if you have one. If you don't have one, pop a few books around or boxes, or you may be lucky to have a sewn table where the machine is inset into the table. What you're looking for is quite a big area here, if you can, to be able to manage your project, especially if you're working on bigger projects. The other thing you need is a foot. So to use our quilting pattern guide, you need to have either a low shank or a high shank foot. Your machine might be a specialised foot. You'll be able to check with your manufacturer. We sell the low and the high shank feet. And this is going to affix to the side of your shank on your machine, and you'll adjust it to the correct height for when you're stitching. You're also going to drop the feed dogs. And the feed dogs are often a switch behind your machine, or it might be a button on the front of your machine depending on your model. You can also lower your stitch length to 0, but don't worry if you don't have that option. Because you're dropping those feed dogs, you're actually guiding the project anyway, so don't worry too much about that. So let's see how they actually work. I've got here 2 layers of fabric, and I've got our wadding just attached with our stick and spray in the centre, and that's just going to emulate my project for today, just to show you how they work. If we have a close-up look at the actual guide itself, the first thing you can see is it's got a crosshair line on here, and what this is doing is it's marking the centre of the design on each side, and that'll help you line up your project. So you can line up these lines with seams of your blocks if you've got blocks on your project, or what you can do is use a ruler and a heat erasable pen to draw lines on your project and then line these up to follow them along. You can also do this as a spiral, so you can use this centre point here and actually work it around to make a spiral pattern. So you can use them on a rotational basis as well. So I'm going to put mine under the machine so you can see how they actually work. So I'm going to get my project here. I'm going to start at this side. And then what happens is, as you put your foot down, the foot actually sits in that channel. So we can see how it actually sits in there. It's not going to go anywhere else apart from that channel. If you have a drop-down facility on your machine for your needle, I would use that because that does help keep it in position. But again, if you don't, it's not a problem. It will still work. There's also an anti-slip, or say a non-slip guide on here as well, on the surface. Feels a little bit, not rough, like between smooth and rough. What that's helping you do is grip it to the machine and the fabric, so it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to start stitching, and I'm just going to hug the channel with that foot. And I'm going to get around the corner, and if you get to a point where you feel like you're working at a strange angle or something, what you can actually do is keep your needle down in your machine, and you can rotate your project and the guide. If you find it's gone off, all you do is line it back up. You've got that needle down, so your project's not going to go anywhere. We're going to line it back up, and we're going to carry on. And we're just going to gently go around there, and I'm going to get to there, and I know that I prefer to stitch where it's coming towards me so I can see where I'm going, or you can even do it on an angle, and you're just following it round until you get to where you want to be. Again, I'm just going to move that around so you can see that you can move it, but you don't have to. And I'm going to get to that point. I'm going to leave my needle down in that position. I'm just going to move this around, and what you can do as well, you can actually do it as a continuous stitch. Move the foot back through that channel, back to here, and what I've done is I've lined up that grid line that's marked on the guide. I've lined it up with the section of the part I already stitched, so I know that that's going to be straight. And then I'm going to stitch again. Just follow it round and hug it to the side as far as you can get, and this time I won't turn it around, and you can see that it works either way. And just back round. I like to pause and just readjust my hands, get to the end there, and again what you can do is go back to the start and carry on stitching. I shall take that out there and show you what I've done. Cut my thread. There we go. So you can see there that I've done that continuous. I haven't broken my stitch there. It's continuous there. So I've got no threads to stitch in afterwards, or bury, as that's a phrase that a lot of people have used, bury your stitches into your wadding. But I've gone continuous there. I can go all the way along and work all the way as long as I want. I can do as many as I want on there. It doesn't matter. If you want to then go and do that double line that's on the quilt that we had before, what you're going to do is do one row and then start again, line it back up and just offset it, and then you can go around again, and then you've got that double effect line. And it's really up to you which design you want to do. When you get it, just have a little bit of play, get yourself some scrap wadding and 2 layers of fabric, and then just stitch and just play and see what designs you can get. Because this one is an absolutely amazing one. It gives an absolutely fantastic result. Whatever colour threads, you can use the same thread, you could use a variegated thread and a bold thread as well. It'll really stand out. So this one is the Geometric Wave.